Okay, it's Iowa season. Some last minute thoughts on Norfolk. And is this the biggest game of the season? I think it is, and that's not hyperbole. Let's get to it. Okay, so this Friday night is at SHI. Is big stuff, and what I believe is the most important game of the season. Uh, some last minute thoughts on Norfolk. The end result was what we wanted to see: a 60-10 win. The scoreboard and the box score were filled with good stuff. There were some things regarding our ability to stop the run for an FCS program and allow some big plays. Getting off to a little bit of a slow start offensively, not only having 47 yards on offense in the first half. We had some special teams touchdowns. We did get a lot of guys in the game, and I forget how many freshmen. Might have been the guys from the night report reported how many freshmen got in the game. So that was something that we wanted to see. Maybe not on defense with Kamar Archie and DJ McClary, but we did get to see a lot of guys, including the one everybody wanted to see, maybe start the second half, and that was AJ Sorace. And I was impressed, as many people were, with AJ, and not just because of that touchdown with Michael Thomas. One of his early I talked about AJ whenever I did a video, maybe a year and a half ago, on him. I saw him as like a right-handed Steve Young type. Good delivery, can run it, can throw it, can run the offense. And everybody talked about the Michael Thomas touchdown as the big moment, but one of the early passes that he threw, I really like because it highlighted his throwing motion, which is really a compact throwing motion, not elongated, not exaggerated. It's not going to, put himself in a position that on a strip sack. He keeps his arm in close. He's not holding the ball out here. Back in the day, they used to tell you to hold it by your ear. His throwing motion is like a whipsaw. It just comes through really compactly, close to his body, and throws accurately and with authority. From this level, just whips it right through, and that really impressed me. Almost a little more than that terrific throw and catch to Michael Thomas. Nonetheless, some good things to take out of the Norfolk game. Some things we still have to work on defensively, and that kind of still worries me going forward. It's on to Iowa, the bane of our existence, and it's the biggest game of the year to me. Here's why. We know our chances against Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State are slim. So in the next year we have Illinois. We should have beat them last year, but we go to Champaign this year, so that's going to be a tough road game. That leaves Iowa as a top tier team, second level team, that if we're going to take the next step, we're going to have to beat. And they're a team that gives us trouble, even when they're kind of beatable. We all know how they want to play. They want to play the game much like Shiano, close to the vest, run it, throw it downfield when you have to, be big, strong, and tough in the trenches. We're 0-4 against them. 2016, 14-7 loss on a sunny Saturday. In a game that I thought we had a pretty good chance to win, that I refer to as the Janarian Grant game, where he was tracked down from behind and tackled and hurt his ankle, or so it was his ankle, and that kind of impacted him going forward for the rest of his career, really, till he went to play Canadian football. Right. Um, it was a 14-7 loss. We had the ball. We could have went down to tie late in the game. But we had a 4th and 2 in the red zone, and we couldn't convert. We had a fumble on our own territory, late in the game. Iowa gets a rushing touchdown, and, they win the game 14-7. Robert Morton, kind of an underrated Rutgers running back. He had a big day that game. Nonetheless, 2019, ugly loss, 30-0. We were outgained by like 300, more than 300 yards in that game. We had 47 passing yards, 5 first downs. It was the nadir of the Chris Ash offensive era. Art Sikowski was horrendous. By the way, there's people, not surprisingly, calling for Chris Ash's firing after Notre Dame's defense has just been really bad. And I think people are finally starting to get hip to the idea that Texas's offensive woes may not all be on Arch. There's a guy there that's an offensive coordinator that's not exactly the most inventive or creative guy. We knew in Kyle Flood. So, nonetheless, yeah, that was ugly. There were some ugly games in those. 2022, that was a winnable game. It was a 27-10 loss, but the game was closer than that. And this is, remembers the Evan Simon game where he turned the ball over, had 2 or 3 picks, but he also threw for over 300 yards. It was in many ways kind of an empty 300 yards, but nonetheless, we outgained Iowa in that game. But unfortunately, Evan turned the ball over. Cooper DeJean made some plays. And then in 2023, kind of symbolizes the kind of game that we think of when we play Iowa. It was a rock fight, an ugly game, unwatchable, 22-0 loss. Even though it was kind of nip and tuck and tight game, again, Iowa outgained us by like 300 yards. Gavin did absolutely nothing. We rushed for 34 yards. We had only 7 first downs. And still the game was like 6-0 in the fourth quarter. So Iowa has been a team that's to play physical. We didn't have the wide receivers. We didn't have a quarterback that could make plays. We had a bit of a running game, but it was ineffective if you couldn't challenge the Iowa defense, and I think that's where we differ this year. We're actually making plays in the passing game, and many feel we have the offensive firepower to compete for the first time against Iowa. Iowa, they haven't, if they're preparing for the old Rutgers, now Kirk Ferentz is a good coach, most Big Ten victories ever. He's going to know that this is a different offense. But you still have to execute and be ready for it once you get out on the field. But the other side of that coin is that, the defense that we're going up against with Iowa is arguably one of the worst. People also feeling really good about Mark Gronowski, has not been good as the $1 million transfer quarterback. He was struggling until he threw a couple touchdowns against UMass, Joe Harris-Simiak, winning 47-7. I think he only had like 170-something yards passing. In the first couple of weeks, Iowa had 131 yards passing and just 1 touchdown. And that was opening against FCS Albany. Of course, they were running the ball well, over 220 yards a game. They had over 300 yards against Albany. Um, he Gronowski finally, we were looking. A lot of people were looking at chops. Gronowski's not that. This is the same Iowa offense. We're going to have success. He went against UMass, went 16 to 24, had a couple of passing touchdowns. He had a 12-yard rushing touchdown. By the way, he's not a running quarterback, but he will and can run the ball. I'm a little worried because Kuhn on Norfolk had success, particularly early, as a traditional pocket passer, getting some rushing yards. He had a 20-yard run, 5-yard run early. Nonetheless, let's go through some stats. In many ways, this Iowa team was expected to be different. More offense, more passing, more explosive. But they're the same in many ways. Total offense, 335 yards a game. That's 101st. Rushing offense, they do what they do. They're ranked 30th in the country, 214 yards a game. Passing offense, as we talked about, not great. 125th in the country at 121 yards per game. Passing efficiency, 104th. Scoring offense. So if they can get down there controlling the ball, they do a little better. They're ranked 63rd, 31 points a game. But their offense isn't going to be what gets them over the top. They want to play it close to the vest. We saw that Iowa State game. Iowa State's right. It was a close game. It was a 3-point loss. They're going to want to do it with defense. Total defense, they are ranked number 3 in the country, number 6 rushing defense. So not having CJ, having somebody that gives us that burst, that explosiveness, that change of pace, catching the ball out of the backfield would be really nice to have. It doesn't look like we're going to have him. Passing yards allowed, 120 per game, number 13 in the country. This is going to be the first true test for Ethan. He doesn't have to have a 275-yard, 300-yard game and 2 or 3 touchdowns. Just be efficient, high percentage completion, make the big throw when you have to. If you can get 200 yards, a touchdown, not turn the ball over, we make a play on special teams, we get a couple rushing touchdowns, we'll be okay. Passing yards allowed, Iowa, number 13. Passing efficiency defense, number 34. And scoring, number 1 in the nation. Turnover margin, kind of a surprise. They don't turn the ball over a lot, typically, historically, but they're 85th. Third down conversion on offense, they're 16th. Fourth down, they're 40th. Their red zone offense, sort of middling, 67th. Red zone defense, kind of the same. So if we can get down there, they're about 55th. We need to make plays, and with our receiving core, hopefully Ian will be ready, and our size advantage with our receivers, we can get some red zone scores. So, first down defense, those quick outs to Ian, those 4 or 5 yard runs to Antoine, going to be a little bit of a challenge. First downs, they're ranked 12th in the country. The fewest penalties per game in the country. They are ranked number 1 and number 2 and fewest penalty yards per game. So, despite makeover, Iowa is Iowa. They want to run it. They're not going to be particularly proficient in passing. They're not going to make a lot of mistakes. Not going to be a heavily penalized team. They're going to be physical. And it's not going to be a particularly explosive or fun game to watch. In many ways, could be some old school football. So despite the makeover, uh, Iowa very much the same. The guys in the night report went through PFF grades in their offense, which I always take with a grain of salt. Remember, it was the year before last, we had 11, 12 sacks for the entire year, and they ranked our offensive line number 106. But their offensive line, all their guys are top rated and have the, at least according to PFF, the number one offensive line in the country. Not going to help the issues that we're having with getting pressure, getting sacks. They're gonna make Runowski look like Joe Burrow back there if they can't get some pressure. Runowski, he has like 88 yards rushing, but he has 3 rushing touchdowns. He's been sacked 6 times. So even if Runowski isn't great, he is probably not going to be under duress. Somehow, some way, we got to scheme up some defenses that disrupt him a little bit, and we haven't so far been able to do that. Their rushing game, Xavier Williams averages over 7 yards a carry. Jazoon Patterson averages almost 6 yards per carry. Terrell Washington, 4 yards per carry, so they're going to want to run it. On offense, points per game, 39.5. Number 18 in the country. Yards per game, 410. Number 48. Points per play, we're number 17. Yards per play, we're number 51. Third down conversion, we need some work. Number 63. Fourth down, 27. We've had some success. Red zone scoring, kind of meh in the middle. Number 49. And, when it comes to the old school Rutgers kind of thing about running the ball, we aren't as effective as we've been, obviously, with Kyle gone. Yards per rush, 4 yards per rush. That's only number 69 in the country. But we rush the ball a lot. We're number 39 in rushes per game and only number 55 in rushing yards per game at 154.5. Passing, we've done much better this year. Obviously, Ethan has taken the next step forward. 74.5% completion percentage, 10th in the country. Yards per pass, 8.7, number 28 in the country. Who would have thought this? Passes per game, we don't throw it a lot. 29.5, that's number 73. Passing yards per game, 255, number 42. Number one in percentage of interceptions thrown. But here's the issue. Quarterback sack percentage, 6.35%. That's number 77. So even though Ethan's been efficient, we have getting 3 sacks. Norfolk had 3 sacks. Miami had 3 sacks. And defensively, when it comes to opposition completing passes against us, we're ranked at 86th. 90th in completion percentage, 113th in yards per pass, 87th in pass yards per game. So we are going to, even though we know what Iowa, all the analytics don't matter, the stats don't matter, none of that matters. We know what Iowa wants to do. We're going to have to man up and not allow them to exert their will against us. And we're going to have to be able to run the ball enough to keep them honest. We're going to have to make some plays in the passing game, and we're going to have to prevent Iowa from establishing the pace of the game, running the ball, completing a pass downfield when they need to, playing defense and tough in the trenches. It's not rocket science. We know what they're going to do or what they want to do. Both these teams are not penalized very much. So playing mistake-free ball, always big for us. Don't make that inopportune penalty at the worst times. And frankly, the matchups don't really favor us all that well. Our D line versus Iowa's O line, Iowa running game versus our run defense. That being said, if we can get, and Mike from the Night Report mentioned this, if we can get out, maybe make some plays early in the passing game and get out to a lead. Remains to be seen if Iowa can come from behind. But considering our defense challenges on defense, I'm not going to be really. I'm not sure that we can keep Iowa from scoring, considering our challenges in the secondary and getting pressure. But it gives us a better chance. We have the opportunities. Iowa hasn't been particularly productive on offense. But make some plays. If we can get some big plays in the passing game and our wide receivers come to play at home with a great crowd, we have some opportunities there. I wouldn't be shocked if Gronowski made plays in the passing game or with his feet. But where we kind of do well is special teams. We can help ourselves out with that. A block, scoop and score would be nice. Maybe something that can change the momentum of a game, give you a lead, stretch a lead. So if we can keep them in the 20 to 21 point range while scoring, 24 ourselves with the help of some special teams and clean play, we have a shot at being 4-0. Then just go out and beat Maryland, Purdue, Minnesota, and we're at 7 wins. Washington and Illinois be a challenge. And don't sleep on Maryland and Purdue. They're both better this year. We're going to get to a bowl game. We'll be at least in that 7-5 range, and with this year's schedule, that would be pretty decent work. So this game is really important because next up will be Washington with their explosive big plays. It's funny, they get big plays and are explosive. And Coleman's averaging whatever he has, 7 yards to carry, whatever it is. But it doesn't translate to points and total yards. So this is going to be an interesting game to watch. Washington's strength of big explosive plays matches up well against our defense giving up big plays. So that'll be interesting. Hopefully we go 4-0 and we get a big win against a team that has been the bane of our existence for the past 8-9 years. Nonetheless, everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Maybe we'll do a Big Ten roundup, and if there's any more news regarding this game, we'll get to that. Everybody enjoy your week. Let's go Rutgers, and we'll see you the next time.